Hello, everybody. My name is Yori and you're listening to Becoming Stories of Trial and Triumph. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for joining me again for the podcast. I'm glad to have you here with me. I don't take it for granted that you take time out of your schedule to listen to this podcast. So for you to be here with me today is my privilege and my honor to share little tidbits from my own life, from the people that I interview, the lives of the people I interview as well. We are really honored to share our story because, like I've said before, the things that we go through in life are not just for us, but to be shared in order to help other people to overcome things that we may have struggled with in our own lives. So thank you for joining me today. So in today's episode, I wanted to talk about something that I have struggled with in my own life throughout my entire life, as far as I can remember. I have struggled with this thing, and it's the whole issue of self-image. I have struggled in the past. I struggled so drastically or heavily with low self-esteem, to the point where there were times when I would not be caught dead taking a picture without my makeup on. I just did not like me. I didn't like how I looked. I didn't like anything about myself. And I've really had to take some time to really think it through and really get to the root of it in order to come to a place of healing and a place of acceptance that this is who God made me to be, and it's the only body I have to live in. It's the only face I'll ever have. And just to come to terms with that and to be not just okay with it, but to really love Yori, to love myself. And I'm certain that so many of us have struggled with something similar, that each of us can pinpoint something about ourselves that we don't like, something about ourselves that if we had the money to do the plastic surgery, we would change it, or just something that we're not content with about ourselves, and just to go back in my own mind, I've had several I could tell so many stories just about the different encounters with people, the different things that have been said to me over the years that have just further put me in this place where it's like there is no value to me, and it's because of how I look. It's because of the extra weight that I carry. It's because of down to how my nose and my mouth connects. I've had criticism about that. And so over the years, especially becoming a Christian, I remember when I first became a Christian in 2001. I remember one of the prayers I prayed at that time was for God to start the work on the inside of me and then transform me externally. And I believe that he's done that. But then, the truth, I was reading in John 8:32 just this morning, it spoke about the truth. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And my takeaway from that my takeaway from that scripture is that we can know the truth. We can have a theoretical knowledge of truth, based on like even Psalm 39 that says that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. So you hear the truth of God's word, you hear the truth about who you are, you hear the truth about just really who you are and your value. You hear it, you know it in your mind, you know it in your head that yes, this is true about me. But until it really becomes true in your heart, so you can know something, but until you really believe it, until moves from your head to your heart, and you take a hold of the truth that really and truly, yes, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Yes, I have been made in the image of and likeness of God. Yes, there is no one that's just like me. Yes, I am beautiful. Yes, I am whole. Yes, I have value. Yes, I am precious in the sight of the Lord. Yes, I am accepted. Until we take hold of these different truths, we'll always be stuck in a place of low self-esteem. We have to come to a place, and in the first episode I spoke about one of the ways in which you'll be ready to really choose the right relationship for you is to know who you are. And in knowing who you are, you can't really know who you are apart from knowing the God who created you, because he's the one who designed you. And I like to use this example of, like, the person who made a pen. It's a very simple example. The manufacturer of a pen, or the person who had the idea to create a pen, they had in mind that they wanted something that would be able to write on paper and write and not be removed. So they wanted this thing to have something that could hold ink, that could be transferred from that instrument onto paper, and it would stay on the paper. So in their mind, they wanted to come up with this instrument. And so let us say, for example, we never knew what a pen was. We never knew what a pen was for. Like, relate it to, if you've ever seen The Little Mermaid, and there's a scene in The Little Mermaid when she comes up to the surface, and I don't remember the character's name, but she goes to she finds a fork, and she goes to the, whatever the character's name is, and she says, "What's this?" She wanted to know what it was, and he himself didn't know what it was. He didn't know what a fork was, because these are sea creatures, right? And he told her it had something to do with, it was, he made it out to be something that she was supposed to use in her hair. Now, you and I both know that a fork is an eating utensil. We know what it is for, but they did not know. So use that now as the example with the pen that I'm talking about. So we didn't know. We have no idea. Let's just imagine that we had no idea what a pen was to be used for. So you take the pen and you use it to scratch your ears, or you use it to scratch your head, and you use it for any other purpose other than writing. It would never have fulfilled its purpose until we get to the root reason. What was this thing created for? And until we come to that knowledge of what is this thing in my hand, and what was it created for, we will never use it in the correct way. We'll always misuse or abuse it. Abnormal use, abuse. And so we have to come to, so even with ourselves now, bringing it back home now, with ourselves, we have to know why we were created, who we are, what is inside of us, what it is that we are supposed to do with this life that we have. And the only way that we will know that is to get into relationship and get into God's word and get into hearing his voice, for him to tell us who we are. And we can't depend on other people. There are people in our lives, yes, that God will reveal different things about us too, who can help us. But ultimately, we have to get into God's presence and get into him to know, why did you create me, God? What is it that you thought of when you thought up me? When you had it in your mind that you were going to create this person, that my father and my mother would meet, and that they would fall in love, and that they would procreate and create me, what did you have in mind before that seed? The seed that was me was planted in my mother's womb. What did you have in mind? And that's a very important question to get the answer to. And because it's out of that question that our low self-esteem, that so many of us have struggled with over the years, it's only out of knowing the answer to that question that we'll realize that the low self-esteem that we've had has no place in our lives. And I've had so many different experiences. Like, I remember not knowing, like, I was just so totally clueless as to the value I brought even into my friendships, the value I brought into just life on a whole. And I remember leaving, this is when I lived in Texas. I remember I don't know if my friend Tamu remembers this, but I remember we were leaving Bible study. We were leaving the Potter's house one Wednesday. Wednesday was Bible study on Wednesday's move. One Wednesday evening we were leaving. We were leaving church. I remember because I even have it written down in my journal. I remember asking my friend Tamu, what is it that you see in me? Like, I can't pinpoint. I cannot identify anything. I can't readily identify the things that are meaningful about me. And she was taken aback, that I could not pinpoint anything. And so she didn't, and what I love about my friend is that she did not pander me. She never was like, oh my God, you don't know? Let me tell you everything. She said, no. She would have told me one or two things, but she said, you now need to spend that time with the Lord and ask him to reveal these things to you. Because of course there are things that she would have seen in me, but she didn't want to just spoon feed me. I had to now take the time to get before God and get quiet enough to hear him speak and to hear him, or to hear him speak, to hear him speak, and for him to show me the different things about my life. And sometimes it's nothing like major. Like, you're good at forming sentences, you're good at speaking well, you're good at being there for your friends, you're very encouraging, you can do makeup and hair, you can put yourself together well, different things. And I started to make a list of the positive qualities in me, because one of the things that this low self-esteem will do to you is that it will cause you to magnify the negatives, or even the perceived negative things. And so you zoom in, and whatever you focus on, you magnify, right? So if it is that you have one flaw and you have, out of 100 things, there's one thing that's wrong. What the enemy does is he has you focus on that one thing and ignore the 99 that are good. And so you walk away feeling like, oh my God, there is so much wrong with me, when in actuality there is more right with you than there is wrong. And this is not to say that we must ignore the things that are wrong. No, because if we're becoming as we are, we should be wanting to become better people. We want to improve. We want to grow. So we're not ignoring the things that are wrong, or the areas in which we need to grow. No, you don't want to so focus on the one thing that's wrong that you ignore the 99 things that are right. And I can remember, going back, like I said before, there are so many examples I can draw on that just further led me to this place of not believing that there was anything good in me, and not believing that I was worthy, and that thought pattern of feeling less than good enough, feeling like you don't really measure up, feeling like there's always somebody that's prettier, and there always will be, in the mind's eye, or in the eye of the beholder. There is always going to be somebody who is more beautiful than you are, who has themselves put together better than you do. There's always someone who might seem as if they bring more to the table than you. So, but we have to come to a place where we are confident in knowing that what we bring to the table is good, and that what we have is good. And even though it may not be what the other person has, it doesn't negate that what you bring is good. And so I would always think that, I remember just talking it through now with you. I remember there was a time, it happened twice. So there was a neighbor that I had such a crush on him. He was cute, and I used to love cute guys. He was cute and he was tall. And I had such a crush on him. And I remember he would come to the gate a lot, and I would go outside to him. I don't even know if my parents knew I was outside. Mommy and daddy? Well, you can't do me nothing. I would would go outside to him and we would talk, and my sister was always inside, but he knew her. Because I think he would have come inside at some point. He would come over and stuff, and but most of the time when we would talk, he would be outside, and I would go outside to talk to him, and we would talk and whatever. And it turned out, I don't remember how, because this was now years ago, but I don't remember how it came out that he was really talking to me in order to get to know my sister. And I was like, so of course I was devastated because he didn't like me. He liked my sister. And so that was one of the things that made me feel like, wow, Yori loses again, And then I remember another incident, same thing, another cute guy, my best friend in high school at the time. We used to do math extra lessons on a Saturday morning, and there was this, so it was children from other schools as well who would come to this class. And I remember there was this guy in the class, I think he went to Woolmars, I don't remember what school he went to now, but nice handsome guy. And I remember and I was very shy and very awkward but once he got to know me, I would talk and stuff, but just in general, just very nerdy. Like in high school, they compared me, I guess it was because of the glasses, the glasses I would wear. I look like Steve Urkel. I don't know if you remember Steve Urkel. I think he was in the show. Was it Family Matters? I don't remember the name of the show, but I was compared to Steve Urkel a lot, and I was really fool. I was, I take that back. I wasn't fool. I was just immature and very young and just very shy and awkward and stuff like that. But there was this guy in this class, and I remember him asking me to borrow my eraser one Saturday morning. And so you feel, oh my God, he's talking to me. I don't know if you can relate to that, but I was so, oh my God, he's talking to me. Oh my God, he asked me to borrow my eraser, and so I lent him my eraser and didn't think anything of it. He gave it back to me. I just thought he was using it like what people use an eraser to do. So I don't remember, I think I was packing my school bag the Sunday night, and I happened to look at my eraser just randomly, and on the eraser he had written his name and his number. No, who does this? We're in high school. But I guess these things start early, right? And I said, oh my God, he likes me. He wrote his name and his number on this eraser. And so of course I called him, and we started to talk, and we became friends and all of that. And this was maybe 2 years. We were, if that long, we were talking and friendly, and we would go out together, not as a group, because we're in high school now, so we're hanging out as a group. So he would come over. He became friends with my friends, and it was just nothing odd. There was nothing odd in my mind. It was just a friendship, I don't even know if I really liked him like that anymore. I mean, we were just very good friends, I thought. And then it turned out that he became, because like I said, I invited him into the circle of friends that I had at the time, and it turned out that he became closer friends with my friends, and I was no longer included in that circle of friends. And this happened over several years, but it came out that he really didn't want to be friends with me. He wanted to be friends with my best friend at the time. And so again, here is this thing that really made me question what's wrong with me that you don't want to be my friend. What's wrong with me that you think you have to use me as a middle person to get to my friend. And so it made me feel like, what's wrong with me? And so that again was another thing that happened to me that really made me question my worth and question everything about myself. And of course, my best friend never made me feel anything weird or made me feel less than. But just these different experiences make you wonder what it is about you that makes people not want you but want to use you to get to something else. And so I had those experiences, and like I said, there are several stories I could tell about the various different incidents that have happened over the years that make you feel, I remember I was my first relationship in college, and this is not a sub story, it's just to give validation to the point about this low self-esteem story. I remember we were going along, and he was an athlete, and at the time I was on the chubbier side, but when I look at pictures, I'm like, I wasn't even chubby though. I don't know if you've had that experience when in your head you feel like you're fat, but then when years pass and you look back, you don't see it. Like, what? I'm not fat, so we were dating, and he was an athlete, so of course, he has an athlete's body, and I didn't have an athlete's body, but me never big. Anyway, so I remember he would, I think somebody was teasing him. Oh, wait, go. I don't remember everything. Somebody was, because of course you could see the difference in our body frame, and people are so superficial, and we didn't know to focus on the things that were really important, like, is she a good person? Does she have a good heart? At the time we were young and immature, so we focus on the externals. Everybody does that. So I remember that he would send me an exercise regimen and say, okay, so you need to do X, Y, and Z these number of days. And I'm like, who gave you the authority to tell me what I need to do and how I need to do it, And so those different experiences, just, you get to this place where you're like, can you just accept me for me? Can you just love me for who I am and for what I bring to the table? But you have to come to a place where you realize that it's not the people who are the issue, because people will be who they are, and you can't change that, but you can change you. And the only way you can change you is to know the truth about you. And that's the journey that the Lord has had me on the past few years, because I can safely say that when I look in the mirror, and I don't have the perfect body, perfect in the eyes of society. No, I don't have what the society says is the ideal body. But kill me dead, you can't tell me something not pretty. I know that, and it's not coming from a place of cockiness or vanity. And you have to silence the voices that tell you you're vain, when you know that you have overcome a lot of hell to get to a place where you can look in the mirror and like what you see. I'm sorry. When you can look in the mirror, I'm so sorry, guys, and like what you see, and like the reflection that's staring back at you, you know you've made progress. And I'm tearing up because there were so many years when I didn't want to look at myself. There were so many years when, like I said before, you could not pay me to take a picture without my makeup. You couldn't pay me to go anywhere without this camouflage on my face. Now I wear makeup because I like makeup, not because I don't feel like I have to wear it in order to look good. And that took time. And I wouldn't say that I'm 100% there, but in comparison to years past, I want to say that I'm 95% improved. There are still times when the self-consciousness will creep upon me, and I realize that I'm making decisions out of a fear of not being accepted. There are times when I see that, but it's what I like about what's happening with me in this season is that I can recognize what I'm doing. So there are many times when, even in the area of relationships, and this, it always seems to come to a place where we're talking about relationships to an extent, but even in the area of relationships, I can see where the decisions I've made, the bad decisions I've made, have been based in fear. So you feel like, okay, so you accept a lot of bad treatment, ill treatment, and when you come away from the situation and you think about it, you think to yourself, why did I put up with that? But the answer to that question is that you don't believe that you deserved better. And I truly am believing now that I'm at a place where it's a no for me if I have to compromise who I am and what I'm building. It's a no for me if I have to feel like I have to pretend to be somebody I'm not in order to be accepted. That's a no for me. No. It's a no for me if I can't fully express myself, if I can't be me, if I can't, if I feel like if I dress a certain way, you're going to have something to say. If I remember somebody even, and it's so subtle. Like even the fact that I have 2 piercings in each ear. I remember somebody saying to me, Yori, why do you have two piercings? And it's something so simple. Why have 2 piercings? You don't know that it's only skettles do that, and that's a word that for my overseas listeners, skettle, I guess is a I have an understanding of that word, but I guess some people, the understanding I get to understand that that's not really what it means in the streets, if you get me. But skettle is like a woman who just leaves herself open to different men and stuff like that, if you get my drift. So he said to me, don't you know that it's only skettles pierce them ears twice? And I'm like, who says that to someone? Who says that to somebody, But so it's different subtle things that the enemy himself will use to make you question who you are and question yourself and, say, oh my God, I need to take out this earring because if I wear the earring, they're going to think this. Like, who cares? You have to come to this place where you realize, where you're free from the people's opinion. But like I said, it comes back down to you having to get into God, knowing who you are, and being confident in that, in your identity as God has designed it. Who are you? Why are you here? God can answer those questions. And once you hear his answer, grab a hold of it and never let it go. Because if you're depending on people to validate your beauty, and so you post things just to get the likes, and you do things just to get people to recognize you. And I think we've all, if we're honest, 100% honest, we've all done it. Nobody wants to not feel like somebody thinks they're beautiful. All of us want that. All of us want somebody a compliment. All of us want to feel nice. All of us want to have people say nice things about us. But that cannot be our modus operandi for everything that we do. We have to know within ourselves that, hey, yes, this is good. This is beautiful. I am beautiful. I am enough. And so the likes won't make or break you. Because suppose you do post this picture on social media and you think it looks good and nobody likes it. Are you going to crumble? Or are you going to stand boldly knowing, I am beautiful. I am enough. So the heart is what we have to fix. And once that is fixed, it doesn't matter what other people have to say. Because you're growing and becoming more confident, So you're not gonna get there overnight, because like I said, I'm not 100% there. There are still areas that are touchy. Like my weight is a touchy subject, but I know within myself that I am actively working toward becoming a healthier version of myself. And I don't get it perfect every day, but consistency is the key. But then even the motive for the weight loss and the motive for getting fit and healthy cannot be because I want to be accepted by someone else. And so that's one of the things that I would always say to my ex when he would come at me and talk to me about my weight a lot and be on me about my weight. And I would always say, I have to do it for me. I have to come to a place where I know the importance of it. I know that if I don't take control of my eating habits, if I don't take control of my weight, it's going to affect my health adversely. I have to know adversely. Did I say adversely? Is that even a word? I have to do it for me. And his response was always something contrary to that. But even though I was so naive at that time, and I still was trying to please and still trying to do the most and still trying to make him happy and all that, there was something in me that knew that truth. That if I were doing it only to please this person, it would be temporary. It would be a temporary fix, and it wouldn't be for the right reasons, and so it would not be sustainable. Whatever it is that we're doing, we have to come and we have to weigh our motives, because our motives can get cloudy. We have to always come back and weigh, why are you doing what you're doing? What is the reason you're posting this? What is the reason you're doing this? What is the reason you want to accomplish this? What are your reasons? What are our reasons? If our reasons are to be accepted and to feel like we're in the in crowd and to feel like, yeah man, we have it sorted out and nobody can say anything negative about you. If it's about the other person and if it's not about you and about fulfilling your purpose in God, we're missing it. We're missing it. And we all have missed it at some point. So this is not to condemn me and it's not to condemn you, because we've all done it. All of us. And if we have to be totally honest, let's be real. All of us have done that at some point. But we have to now come to this place of saying, hey, I want to be better because I know that it is right for me. Not because of anybody else, but for me. And so the journey of overcoming low self-esteem and seeing yourself how God sees you is an important journey to take. It's an important journey to take because it determines your destiny. You see, purpose fulfillment is why we're here. I said it before in a previous podcast, that the reason that we were created, we are God's workmanship. We were created for his good pleasure. We are created to do something in the earth. And once our purpose is completed, we will pass on to the other life. While we're here, we have to grab a hold of the truth of what God says about us. Because if we're operating from a place of lies, because everything that is not truth is a lie, if we're operating from that, then we're not going to move toward the direction of purpose. So we are going to always be close. We might be close to it, but we're not there. We're not going to reach it. We're not going to attain it until we come down. And so it takes, and so even if it is that you feel like you've accomplished so much already, if what you've accomplished has been based on a foundation of lies, you have to strip back some stuff, strip it back, and get down to the root. Get to the root of it and say, okay, buckle down and say, okay, what is truth? And so you have to rebuild that foundation, stabilize the foundation with truth, and the truth is strong. It only comes out of God's word. Stabilize your life with truth, and then build back from there. And so in that process, you will lose some stuff. You might lose some friendships. You might lose some things that are hanging on to you, some strongholds, some different baggage. You might lose it, but it's okay. You have to rebuild your life on truth. because that's the only way that we'll really accomplish purpose. And that's what is the ultimate thing. You can live, and one of my greatest fears is that I would have lived my life for however long God says I am to live this life on earth, and I would not have accomplished my purpose. That's one of my greatest fears in life today. So if it is that he's saying to me, Yori, what you have believed about yourself for 35 years, because I'm now 38, and I want to say that it's maybe in the last 3 or 4 years I've really been taking stock. If God is saying what you've believed for 35 years about yourself is not true, you are not what they have said. You are not what you've done. And that's something I want to encourage you with as well. The mistakes you've made, because we've all made mistakes, that doesn't define who you are. Those mistakes don't define who you are. You will no longer be labeled as the cheater. You will no longer be labeled as the liar. You'll no longer be labeled as the side chick. That's not your identity. That's something you did. That's not who you are. Take that and run with it. That's not who you are. That's not your identity. You are a child of God. You have been set free. You have been made free. Walk like you're free. Walk like a champion. Talk like a champion. Yeah. Oops, sorry. Got distracted. But seriously, you're not what you've done. And you're not who they say you are. If who they say you are is not according to the word of God, it's a lie. And you won't accept that any longer. So it's a journey, but it's a journey worth taking. And guess what? God will give you people for your journey. So even though you lose people along the way, He'll replace it with what's right for you. So accept that and let go. And walk with your head held high, because He doesn't see you how the world sees you, and He doesn't define you how the world defines you. But you have to believe what He says. John 8:32 again says, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. You have to know the truth, but you also must believe it. So believe it today, guys. And let's walk out of low self-esteem and low self-image and low self-worth, because those are not labels that God gave us. He said that we are the head and not the tail. We are above and not beneath. He said that we are fearfully, Psalm 139, sorry. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. We were crafted and created in the image of God. We are children of God. We are no longer slaves to fear. We are children of the Most High God. That's who we are. Low self-esteem has no place here. Low self-worth has no place here. You have been rebranded and you have been renamed. Get to know that truth and build the confidence from there. Not what the world says, but what the Word says. Get to know what it says, and you'll get to know who you are. And that's my truth for today. Have a great day. Bye, guys.